They laid me off without warning, told me to stop coding, pack my desk, and hand in my badge. Then, before I'd even left the building, my manager asked if I'd come back to finish the app. What happened next cost them far more than they ever planned to pay me. If you've ever been disrespected at work, underestimated, or treated like you were disposable, hit subscribe right now, like this video, drop a comment, and get ready for a revenge story where the power shifts quietly and permanently. Let's get into it. I was the only developer on the project, not one of the developers. The developer. The app was complicated. Years of legacy decisions, half-finished features, rushed promises made by sales teams who had no idea what they were selling. And somehow, all of that landed on my desk. My manager, let's call him John, had absolutely no understanding of software development. None. Zero. He'd ask questions that made me pause mid-sentence, trying to figure out how to explain concepts so basic that I wasn't even sure where to start. Things like, can't you just add the feature? Or, why does this take more than a day? Or my personal favorite, isn't there a button for that? John didn't protect us. He didn't push back on impossible deadlines. He didn't care what it took to make things work. His entire job seemed to be nodding enthusiastically at sales and upper management, then turning around and dumping the consequences on me. Every day felt like running uphill with a backpack full of bricks. I was stressed all the time. My jaw was always tight. My shoulders never relaxed. I'd wake up already tired, thinking about deadlines that made no sense and milestones that were mathematically impossible without more people or more time, neither of which I was ever given. Then one afternoon, everything stopped. An email popped up. Mandatory meeting. Immediate attendance required. When I walked into the room, every developer was already there. No laptops. No small talk. Just that heavy, quiet feeling that tells you something bad is about to happen. HR didn't waste time. We were all being laid off. Effective immediately. Stop what you're doing. Pack your things. Turn in your badge. Just like that. I felt two emotions hit me at the same time. Panic, because suddenly I had no job, very little savings, and no idea how long it would take to find another one. And relief, because I didn't have to do this anymore. I didn't have to deal with John. I didn't have to save a project that had been set on fire and handed to me with a smile. I grabbed a cardboard box in the supply closet, scrawled Xbox on the side with Sharpie, and started packing my desk. And that's when John showed up. He leaned against the edge of my cubicle, wearing the same concerned but not really look he always had. And he asked casually if I'd be interested in finishing the app on a contract basis. I hadn't even left the building yet. I was still employed less than an hour ago, and now he wanted me back, but cheaper, temporary, and without benefits. My brain screamed absolutely not, but shock does funny things to people. So what came out of my mouth wasn't get lost. Even though that's what I want to say, what came out was, yeah, maybe. John nodded quickly, clearly relieved, and said he'd talk to upper management and call me. I walked out of the building, unemployed. That night, I updated my resume. I started applying everywhere, talking to recruiters, scheduling interviews. I didn't wait for John. About a week later, my phone rang. It was him. He sounded upbeat, confident. Management had agreed to pay me a very reasonable rate to finish the app, and it was reasonable. It would have kept me afloat, paid rent, bought groceries, given me breathing room. But something inside me shifted. Maybe it was the way I'd been treated. Maybe it was the months of stress. Maybe it was knowing they only needed me now because they'd burned every other bridge. Before I could stop myself, I said, I can't do it for that amount. I'd need more. Silence. John's voice changed immediately. Tight. Nervous. He knew the truth. Without me, the app didn't move. Without me, deadlines were meaningless. Without me, he'd have nothing to deliver. He swallowed and asked, okay, how much more? And then, against every survival instinct I had, I said it. Double. I'd need double that. I actually slapped my hand over my mouth. What was I doing? I needed that money. I was risking my safety net out of pure anger and pride. John sounded pale through the phone. Double? Okay, I'll ask, but there's no way they'll agree to that. Sure, I said. Let me know. Click. The second the call ended, panic set in. What had I just done? I'd turned down the rescue boat while still treading water. Then something incredible happened. I landed an interview, then another, then one that felt right. Good people, healthy culture, respect. They practically told me an offer was coming. For the first time since the layoff, I slept, and then my phone rang again. John, he sounded happy. He said, I can't believe this, but management has agreed to pay you double the rate. We really need you to finish this. How long do you think it'll take? And for the first time in this entire story, I felt calm. I smiled, and I said, Sorry, John, I can't do it. I've got something else lined up. Silence. Then the call ended. I never went back. I took the new job and stayed there for over a decade, built friendships, built a career, built a life that didn't revolve around cleaning up other people's messes. That company, their stock collapsed. They were delisted, eventually suspended. Turns out cutting the one person holding everything together isn't a great long-term strategy. A friend of mine eventually got hired to finish the app. I helped him quietly because he didn't deserve to suffer for their mistakes. But John learned something that day. It'll cost you more than that. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's just knowing your worth and walking away when they finally realize it too late. Outro CTA, 15 to 25 seconds. If this story hit home, hit like and subscribe for more satisfying Reddit revenge stories. And tell me in the comments, what's the best moment you've ever had where someone suddenly realized how much they needed you? Your story might be next.